Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Migration Center webinar today. Today, we have the topic Deep Dive into the new Migration Center WebUI for you. And before I hand over to the first speaker, let me do our quick mandatory slide of housekeeping. All attendees are muted during the whole session. Should you have any questions, inquiries, remarks, please take a look at your GoToWebinar panel. Per default on your right-hand side, there's a little questions box and you can enter your question in there and I'll collect all the submissions and we will answer them in a dedicated Q&A session after the main part of this webinar. Please also note that this webinar is being recorded and once we have it processed, we will share it with you after the session so you can watch the webinar recording anytime you like. Now, let me introduce our speaker for today. We have two speakers, both from FME SRL out of Romania. Our first speaker will be Vasile Gafrila, and the second speaker will then be Cosmin Anekite. And with that being said, I would like to hand over to our first speaker, Vasile.
Okay, hello everybody. Nice to meet you again. So we have this agenda for today. We want to speak a bit why WebUI, why a new UI for Migration Center. I want to give you an overview about the solution, about the deployment, and go a bit into details of the Web UI, what it is, what we provide in the Web UI, and what are the new features and enhancements we will provide, and what's our plan for the next year and the years beyond. And after that, Cosmin will do a live demo, and at the end, we'll be happy to answer your questions. All right. Well, why WebUI, or better said, why a new UI for Migration Center? Well, we all know the old Windows client. It did the job, it still does the job, but yeah, it reached its limitations in terms of enhancement, modernization of UI, and user experience. So yeah, we had two alternatives: either to, let's say, improve existing client, make it more modern and improve the usability, and implement the new features we have in mind on existing client, or start and create a new UI for Migration Center. So in the end, we decided to go with the Web UI because of several reasons. You know, everybody knows they develop web applications, right? But that's not the main reason. We believe that with the Web UI we can provide modern user interface and better user experience, and we can take the advantage to install it once and access it and use it from anywhere. Also we don't need an Oracle client for that, so you don't need to bother with installing Oracle client anymore. You just need a browser to access the Web UI. Also, it will be cross-platform because what you need is only a browser, so you can access it from your preferred device. And we also provide a scalable deployment with this approach. And at the end, we will be ready to, somewhere in the future, to provide migration services, migration as a service. Yeah, we all know that many of the company migrate now to different platforms in cloud, but the time when they will switch from one cloud to another cloud is not that far, you know. So yeah, that time basically the data will be not hosted in the company environment. That the data that needs to be migrated is hosted in cloud platform. So why not to have a platform that you can a platform as a service that you can use it to migrate your data from one cloud to another cloud, or synchronize the data from two different clouds, and so on. So with having a WebUI, we can easily provide that. Okay, solution overview. We are all familiar with our standard approach of migrations in multiple phases. So yeah, we have this analyze phase, and after that, scanning, extracting the source data is part of the analyze. After that, we'll organize the data in manageable mix set, transform, validate, and correct the errors if there are any. And at the end, import the data to the target system. From the component point of view, we now have the Windows client that is a control center for all migration phases, handling jobs, data, and so on. We have the database where the configurations and process data are stored. And we have also the job server that is a container that runs the source and target connectors. Of course, we have an API and a framework that is used for developing and integrating new source or target controls. This is what we have now. But let's see how it looks in the next release. Well, in the next release, we'll still keep the Windows client because we want the customer to have really a smooth transition from Windows client to the WebUI. In the next version, we'll provide both Windows client and WebUI. So WebUI, it will be compatible with all existing components. It will provide all the features we currently have in the Windows client, but will also provide a couple of new features and a lot of improvements. Well, in the next releases, starting from 2022 and beyond, we will retire Windows client and will go only with the web client. And of course, we'll provide enhancements and new features in every regular release, starting with 2022, or maybe even earlier. But it's important to mention that you know, the main concept will stay the same. I mean, the migration phases will be the same. So the users don't need to learn something totally different, you know, to learn a new approach for migration and stuff like that. Regarding deployment, yeah, the things will be easier now, as I mentioned. So we'll have an application server that runs the you know, the web UI that will be accessed from any browser. So of course you can, if necessary, you can have multiple instances of the application server, but normally in most of the cases a single instance will be enough. So yeah, you will install it once and use it from anywhere. Good. Well, a little overview about the web UI. As I mentioned, we stay compatible with all existing components. That means that will be easy to upgrade or to the new version, and there will be a smooth transition to the web UI. The new UI will focus on the migration flow. So this is you will see we'll have a vertical toolbar where all those phases can be accessed. So let's say, yeah, it will be hopefully easier to be understood by the users. And as I mentioned, yeah, we provide the same functionality, of course, adapted to the web UI concept, the same functionality we have in Windows client, but we also provide a couple of new features and a lot of improvements. Some of the new features I want to mention is multi-column mapping list. What that means, mapping list is a feature that is widely used during the transformations. So we now provide, let the user to define one key value for a mapping list and up to 10 value columns. So in this way, you can handle you can easier handle your mapping list, because in most of the cases yeah, the mapping of different values is done on the same set of keys. So yeah, you will see that anyway during the demo. And we also provide copy-paste transformation rules functionality, so you can select one or multiple transformation rules from a mix set and paste it to another mix set. This was requested by many of our customers. We also provide a way to split a migration set. This is useful when you have really big mix sets, so you want to scale the performance of the importer, so you can split the mix set into a big mix set into multiple smaller mix set and import them in parallel. We also provide a section, kind of dashboard with analytics, with graphics where you can see the evolution of your migration, the status of the objects, when the objects have been created, and yeah, many things like that. And we'll also provide a contextual help, so that will help the user to wrap up faster with the web UI. Regarding enhancements, yeah, we focus on especially on handling the mix set configurations better. So now we have transformation and validation in a single step, because anyway, in most of the cases, this also with the old client, these two phases have been done in a single step. We did some improvements on the association part, and we also provide all the functionalities around the mix set to be easily accessible from the mix set. So you'll see that during the demo. Yeah, well, other things like multiple selection on the transformation rules, so you can copy, paste, or delete them. Also for mixed selection, we provide more information and mix set filtering. So in case you have a lot of mix sets pending to be imported, so you can easily find filter and find the mix that you want to import. We improved the search and filtering in most of the table. All the tables now can be filtered by any column. Yeah, also provide an easier, faster way to run the scanner importer with a single click, and yeah, improve the way to handle multi-value parameters in the scanner and importers. You will see all those things during the live demo. What's next? 22 and beyond. So we'll be focusing on providing really nice functionality in the web UI. So we want to provide a global search functionality to find your objects, your related objects, like versions or relation and stuff like that. So you can easily find, yeah, the objects or related objects for errors or whatever. We also want to provide a way to organize scanner, mixer, and importer into projects, because it will, yeah, this will be helpful to organize your data, especially for the cases where you accumulate a lot of scanner and mixers and importers over the time, so you can organize them in projects and maybe archive them and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll also provide import-export functionality for configuration, so scanner importers, scanner mixer and importer, that will be useful for the customer that, you know, have dev, test and production environments, so they have to replicate the migration over those three environments. So this will simplify the the configuration in this case. We also will also introduce custom jobs that can be plugged in the migration process. Custom job means for example, might be post-processing adapters, any kind of processing that cannot be done by a standard scanner or importer. So, for example, after scanning the data, maybe you want to generate with a third-party utility. Maybe you can you want to generate PDF renditions for some documents, or maybe you can extract metadata from the content, or whatever you whatever will be possible with custom jobs. We also will plan to provide more flexibility in the scheduler. So, for example, you can schedule to run only the scanner. Right now, you know, you are forced to schedule entire migration process from scanning to the importer. But yeah, we want to provide more flexibility, so you can run the scanners only, or only the transformation, or only the importers, or transformation together with the import, and so on. And yeah, we'll definitely provide a way to test and debug transformation rules, because over the time we have seen in the projects that yeah, in some cases there will be really complicated transformation rules. So yeah, we want to help the users to test and debug you know, those transformation rules, and many more features we have in mind. But of course, yeah, we'll need to take them step by step. Okay, I guess I'm pretty much done with the transformation. So now I will hand over to Cosmin. So yeah, he will show you the most important features of the web UI.
Okay, thanks, Vasile. Hi, everyone. So without any further ado, we can start with presenting the new web client Migration Center. So we'll start right at the beginning in the sign-in screen. So as you can see, we have the connections here, and as Vasile mentioned, these are configured directly in the web client. There's no need for Oracle client in order to access databases. We are connecting to this database, and here's the first view of the new web client UI. The first thing you will notice is that we moved the main navigation on the left side vertically here. And yeah, we tried to make this navigation follow the steps for the general migration process, which is the analyze, organize, transform, and validate, and then import. So it goes in that order. Taking a look at our first screen, this is the running jobs view. So here we will see any jobs that are currently running. We have our start, pause, and stop buttons with a refresh. You will see in most of our tables in the new WebUI, we have included a filter. So you're able to filter based on any visible columns in the table, and I will show you this in some other tables as well. Yeah, going to the first view, the scanners view, we can see it's a very similar, familiar view from the old client, but yeah, there are some improvements. As I mentioned earlier, we have the filters here. One important thing is that you don't have to filter just by name. You can filter by type. So if I just type something here, you will see the objects will be filtered. You also can sort, of course, of every column. We have changed, so we have a paginated view. So you can see here the number of scanners here is 176. So you can skip or move through the pages of these scanners. And you can also choose how many scanners you want per page, basically. So yeah, those are the main. You can see the same similar functionality in the toolbar here, and we will do a demo migration for presenting the functionality. So let's jump in right into the scanner properties. So we have included all of the necessary, let's say, or relevant scanner views into one easily accessible view. So we have a scanner that we have selected here, and then you can choose the details with the name, job server where it will run, its type, and of course all the parameters. And then you also see it's easily to change between the scan runs, which is the history of the scanner, and then the source objects view. One thing that Vasile mentioned for our parameters, a better experience, let's say, for the multi-value parameters. So you no longer have to manually use separators for your values. You can just create new lines of values in any multi-value parameter, and they will be automatically converted. When you click away, you can see they are saved with a separator, but you just edit them, and this will make it very easy to copy-paste multiple values from other sources. We have added a save and run button directly in the scanner. So this should make the workflow easier when you create a scanner or edit or change some values in the parameters. Instead of having to save and then go and run the scanner, we have just a button here, and we enter the scan run. You can see here the notifications that the scanner was saved successfully and the job was started successfully. And then you can just switch over to the scan runs view. You can see this is a very similar table, which also has the filtering. And here you can see all the scan runs of this particular scanner. And of course, you can also go to the source objects view. And here you will see all the source objects of this particular scanner, or you can see the source objects from the scan run directly for just one scan run. But yeah, this is the new view. And of course, the source objects also have the filter that allows you to filter based on any column. You can easily scroll. You also have the same pagination and pagination settings. Yeah, we have a context menu where you can do the regular view value. You can select view all of the attributes of a particular object and so on. So the same functionality that you're familiar with is still here. Good. So we are done with showing the scanners view. Let's move on to the migration sets. So again, toolbar, the same features of a table that we have mentioned so far. I have already created a mix set here that we can take a look at. So we open the mix set, and first we see that we have again condensed all of the mix set views to be easily accessible when you work with a single mix set. So in the first main section, we have the properties page. So here you have the details with the name and the type of the mix set. You also have the scan run selection, and we also improved this a bit to be more searchable and provide a bit more information. You can also resize them and so on. We will be selecting our scan run, which we did earlier. We have the save button right here, which will save this mix set, and you still remain in the mix set. Of course, we have the filtering option, so the basic exclusion filter, where we can exclude some objects here by their values. We also have the advanced filters, and of course the object preview. Everything is directly in this view here. So once you're done with this step, you can select your objects. And after you select your objects, you can see that it's saying here that the mixset has been saved, and then the selection process has been started in the background. Once we have selected our objects, you simply move on to the next tab, which is the transformation tab. Here we have done some improvements so far, and more will come. So one of the big improvements I'd say is the fact that you can now resize each of the sections. So for if you have very long names for transformation rules or a large number of transformation rules, you can resize them. You can also collapse sections. So if you want to focus only on one section, you can collapse any of these sections. This is the transformation functions window, which everyone is familiar with. You can insert functions here. And as you can see for this demo mix set, I have only set up some system rules. And this is a very good time to show the new features regarding the transformation rules. So I will go to a different mix set. And in this mix set, I have some transformation rules, which I want to copy. So the first thing I want to show is the multiple select feature. So as you can see, you can select using similar, with control clicking or shift clicking through the rules. You can copy multiple rules at the same time, and there's in mixed copy, which just creates duplicates. You can delete multiple rules at the same time, or we have this new feature, which is to copy the rules to the clipboard. So I just clicked this, and you see the paste rules from clipboard appeared. So I will be going to the other mix set where I want these transformation rules, and then I will just click on paste. And there I have just copied the transformation rules from one mix set to another. Of course, we still have the multiple selection. So after we did our transformation rules, we can go on to the next views, which are again easily accessible, just as in the old client. We have the mapping list here. We will take a look at the mapping lists a bit later. And for the associations, we have this document. We'll be importing these documents into SharePoint, and we'll just use the default one. So we can auto-assign the transformation rules to their attributes directly. And one important thing to note is that we have removed the need to select. We had a drop down which is get type name from rule, so you had to manually specify which rule will define the type that will be used here in the association. So this is done automatically in the background with the default system rule for setting the types. So we have removed the need for that. We have also added some buttons here for applying transformation and resetting the objects. So this will allow you to quickly just click on the apply transformation. You can see again the notification that the objects are being transformed in the background without leaving the mixed view here. And then you can also access all of the objects view, which is the source objects, which we can see the original metadata for the objects. Then you can go to the target objects. And here you will see transformed or processed or validated objects with their metadata. And of course, if there are any error objects, you can also access it directly from here. So we focused on making all of the functionality that usually required in a migration when working with mixeds easily available here. And we will continue to work to improve the user experience in the design and UI of this section further. So right now, if we go back to the mixeds view, we can see here we have our objects, and we can see that all of them are validated. So this is another good opportunity to show another of the new features, which is the split mixed function. We have included this just as a button here. So this is very useful, like Vasile said, for parallelizing mixed. So if you have a very large mixed that you would want to split into same configuration for same rules for a mixed but smaller number of objects, this function will allow you to split it into equal parts. So we click split and then confirm our change. And we can see that instead of one mixed, we now have two mixeds, and with the objects split between them equally or as equally as possible. So we can also transform the objects from here using the transform button. So this will be done in the background. So now we have both our mixeds here validated, and they are ready to be imported. Yeah, that's as much, I guess, as I can say about the new mixeds view. So let's move on to the importers. As expected, the importer is very similar to the scanner window. I have created a importer here already configured with all the necessary parameters for importing into SharePoint. And we'll just go straight into the mixed selection. So as you can see, this mixed selection screen has been improved. So now you can see more information. You can sort the mixeds. And in the future, we will also add a filter in this view as well. So you will be able to filter which mixeds you want to see when you want to add them into an importer for you. So we can select both our mixeds here. And of course, we also have the save and run button to make it easier to just save a configuration and also start it. So then you can also move into the importer runs. And you can see here just this one import run. You can see the objects already being processed. This would be a good time to go back to the running jobs. So this will be, we see we have only one importer running right now. With the objects count and the progress and everything. If we want, we can pause this this run. It will take a while until it registers, and you can see that it is paused, and then you can start it back on. And of course, like I mentioned, if you have a lot of running jobs, you can filter them based on type or whatever information you have available here. So that would be the presentation of the main functionality of Migration Center. We will take a look now at the new mapping list functionality. So we'll just take a look directly in the global mapping list section. So I have here a mapping list with some keys and some values. As you can see, we just have one key column and one value column. And what we can do is click on the customize column buttons and just add a, let's say, value 2 or second attribute, whatever. When we click this, we see we have another set of values, another column for another set of values that we can add here. We can put some values directly in these, and let's just save this for now. And then we will go into the mix set to show how this will be used. So let's create the another mix set. So we have introduced a new function called MultiColumn map value in addition to the regular map value function. So when you use this MultiColumn value, of course, you have value to be transformed, which is going to be used as the key for the mapping list. You have your mapping list that you want to use, the report missing values, just so everything so far has been the regular, just like the regular map value function. But instead, we also have this mapping list column. So this will basically, you'll specify which column do you want to return. So if you have two value columns, you can use this function to specify, okay, I want this function to return the values on the first column. So this makes it very easy because we've noticed in migration projects, there are a lot of cases where mapping lists are created, several, 4, 5, 10 mapping lists with different values, but the same keys. So this will make it very easy to create one mapping list that has a set of keys, and then you can have multiple set of values for those keys. And when you use them in the transformation rules, you just use the same mapping list, but specify different, you use different columns for the values on each of them. That would be the multi-value mapping list. The only thing that's left for me to show you is the new dashboard feature, which is we're still working on it, of course. So here we can select a source type. So yeah, let's go with documentum document. You select the documentum document and click load data. And here we see a graph which will show us how many objects were scanned and processed in time for this particular document, the object type. And then we also have another view here which shows different kind of graph. And then we also have, besides the object distribution, we currently also have mixed statuses. So you load this data and you can see a overview of this, how many objects are unprocessed, how many are in progress, how many errors, and how many are imported. And you can show different types of graphs. We will, of course, add more and more functionality to this dashboard view, but this is the start. This has been the presentation of the new web client. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Mark will tell you how to ask them and we will answer as we can. Thank you.
So thank you, Vasile and Cosmin, for the slideshow and the great first insights, the sneak peek into the new WebUI. Before we advance to the Q&A session, let me give you a small hint to our product website, migration-center.com, on which you can find all our product features we mainly talked about, some references in form of success stories, our migration services portfolio just as well. We also offer our former webinars as recordings you can watch anytime you like. And we do have a blog with content migration related topics. Most importantly, you can test Migration Center for free for a 14-day trial period. Just head to our website and take a look at the top right-hand corner where you can request your own individual free evaluation copy. We are at the end of today's webinar. I would like to thank you for your attendance. We hope we could give you a good insight, a sneak peek into the new WebUI. Hopefully we see you again soon in another session of ours. And until then, stay healthy and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.